Okay, so this is the second video you should be watching if you are assigned to do the graphite flower sketch. So the first video you should have watched was doing a little testing with graphite, getting darks to lights, getting a gradient, getting smooth versus textured shading. And the one thing I did not mention is, this can also be smeared similar to charcoal. It's not nearly as smudgy, but you can smear it to get an even softer texture, very, very fuzzy, smoking looking. So that's another use for graphite, should you want things like exceptionally smooth. So if you want, you can pause the video, play with that for a minute, but then you are going to go onto a clean sheet of paper, and we're going to start laying out this drawing. So I'm going to set up these videos so it's just step by step. We're not going to start and finish this in one video. You should be pausing this very often to catch up or to refine things whenever you need to. So this is what we're going to be drawing. Okay, I'm going to try and slide this over so you can see both at the same time. So we're going to be drawing a drawing. So we're not going off of a photograph. That should help you as far as, visualizing texture and stuff. So you may not be able to see this whole thing here, but it may help you. Yeah, I'll just be moving it on and off. So the first thing I want you guys to notice when we're doing these drawings is don't get overwhelmed. Don't start looking at the details. Don't start looking at, precision and curves. Look at basic shapes. So if you're looking at this flower, we have a very thin rectangular base, and we have kind of a triangular top. There are some arcs and curves in there, but we're going to ignore those for now. We're going to start simple so it's not overwhelming. Okay? And also if you look at where things come on the page. So this petal stops about a third or the quarter way up on the page, and the rest of it, this is a stem. The stem goes about a third of the way up. The petals are the bulk of that. So when you're looking at your paper, sometimes it might be good to give yourself some very light guidelines. So that's about how high the stem comes. And from there, again, very, very light when you start sketches. So I'm just going to do a double line for where the stem is. Okay, we can refine everything later. So hopefully you can see this enough. I'm going to slide that there. Okay, I'll go a little darker than I normally do just so you can see. And also the bottom of my page is cut off, so I'm actually have the stem a lot longer than it looks like with this recording. See, it's actually going way down there. Okay. So get that started, okay? And again, you do this very light. I'm going a little darker just so you can see. And then as far as the main head of the flower, very, very lightly, give yourself just a triangle, because we want this flower to take up the bulk of the page. There's not a ton of background, okay? So it should be a triangle standing on its tip. We are going to cut into it, so it's going to look too big at first. So again, I will go a little darker so you guys can see it better. But yours should be very light because you want to erase it and not see it at the end. Okay, so we're just getting a layout here. Alright, once you have that, then we can start cutting into it. Okay, so my triangle has a flat top, whereas this is arced. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to start and just arc in that top. Okay. Next thing it does, if I had a triangle here, you can see how it cuts in like that. So I'm going to kind of curve that back out and in like that. So this is what you should be doing so far. The good thing about flowers is every single one of them is a slightly different shape. So if your curve is a little more pronounced than mine, it's not a big deal. It's still going to look like a flower if we shade it right. Okay, so there's the one side. The other side, if I were going to close this triangle and see how it comes out, so I'm going to go outside of my border. Okay, and then come back in. Okay, so now that's the basic shape. So I'm going to get rid of this triangle now so it's not confusing. So follow along with me. Get rid of your base triangle. Mine's not going to disappear as nicely as yours will because I was drawing darker than I should have, so you could see. Okay, so there's the basic shape, but we do have to kind of get the ins and outs of this flower here. So again, one thing at a time. We don't want to get overwhelmed. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to separate out where this petal comes out and curves. So that's right off of the stem. So that's an easy reference point. We don't have to guess on where to start for that. Okay, that comes out and it doesn't go all the way to the top. A little more than halfway up is where it hits the edge. So I'm going to do a line that comes up, out, and then hits the edge. Okay, and again, you can refine that if you need to, but if you do look at this, there is a double line here, and it's about parallel with itself, so you're just doing the same thing you already did. Okay, doubling up that line, keeping it about equidistant. See, I got a little farther, but mistakes are going to happen. So if you catch a mistake, just stop, adjust. Okay. All right. So there's one section we have started. We're not shading yet. We're just laying out. Okay. The next thing we have here is how it comes out this way. Okay. Starts as a single line, turns into a double line. So we're going to start with this first one because that comes right out to the edge. So again, we have that reference point of where to stop. So, and that again, if we're going to reference things, this line we just drew, it's about halfway across it. That was a bell in the video, not a bell for your class. Okay, so I can make myself a little reference point here, and it comes from there, and I'm just going to arc that around to it. Okay, that's all I did was connect two pieces. Alright, but again, if we look back at this, it starts single and it sort of branches out into a double line, and then it starts to get thicker, it spreads away. So we're going to kind of use this as our stopping point, so you can make yourself a stopping point on here. We're starting with this, slowly, gradually getting further away. Okay, and this stops becoming a line and it starts turning into just a shaded area. So, you know, we can kind of keep this going, but it is kind of we're just referencing something here. So you don't really need to take it too far or get too detailed. We're just marking that out. Okay, so we have a couple things started. As I proceed with drawings, before I get every detail, and I do stop and look around and see if anything needs to be adjusted. So the one thing I do see that's different between mine and this is that I have a lot more petals sticking out here before the side comes down. So I'm just going to adjust this line. So I'm going to erase this here. And if you made that same kind of error, you can do that. If yours looks good, you can leave it, but this should show you that everyone's going to make a mistake and you just got to adjust it. Okay, so that comes out like that. Now it's a little more of the same thing. Okay, so getting all the parts and pieces in, the next thing we gotta do is this, I forget what these are called, stamen or something. Okay, so that's just like an oval that's cut off at the bottom. So again, just kind of visually measuring, it's about, you know, halfway across here. So kind of line that up. It doesn't come all the way up, so we're just gonna do a light arc. I always do this light. I usually do it a few times, that way I can get a nice consistent arc. If it doesn't look like it's in the right space, we can adjust. You know, I'm looking at that as far as size wise and all that, it looks pretty good, so I'll leave it. But I do, now that I have these side by side, I do see this kind of thing here. Mine is very rounded, so I'm going to make that adjustment too. So I'm going to take this, point it up a little bit, pull that down. Okay. Alright, so I think we're good there. Again, another thing I see I can adjust. My arc is very subtle, whereas this one comes across and it's a very sharp turn here. See how sharp that is? So I'm going to make that adjustment as well. So I go across. Okay, little things like that can make a big difference, so try to catch them whenever you can. Okay, but always correct things lightly as well, because sometimes your corrections can get a little messed up if you're not careful. Okay, so take a minute. I'm going to leave this up here. Okay, compare this to your drawing and see if you can catch anything else that we have missed. We didn't do any value mapping yet, we just laid out the shape. So you can pause this and just look back and forth between your drawing and what this is. See if your shapes, your arcs, your sizes of things all sort of line up together. Okay? And since you're pausing, I'll just continue and you can press play whenever you got it. Okay, I think I'll stop here for this video. We just laid out shapes, sizes, and parts. The next video will be about value mapping, so where our darks are versus our lights. So refine your drawing if needed, and then move on to the next video.